All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Show here on Wrestling Unloaded. With me, as always, is Kingpin. How are you tonight?
Oh, good man. Good evening, everybody.
Man, wasn't it just like 2 weeks ago we had one of these memorial pictures up?
Yeah, man. Sometimes these people get old and they die. You know,
Mm,
I mean, Bray Wyatt wasn't an example. Bray Wyatt was a young man, but
yeah, Adnan Al-Kaissie, man, he was a legend, especially if you like watch the old AWA and WCCW. He was the consummate heel manager back then. And then when Sergeant Slaughter had his heel run in WWF and won the world title from Hogan and all that story there, I wrote a memorial article up on the community tab on the Wrestling Unloaded page. And if people indulge me, I want to read that. So let me switch the screen shares here. So if anybody wants to out there would want to read along, they can. So as I find that, go bring that up. Okay, is it showing up?
I can see it on the StreamYard, yeah. And yeah, it's on the YouTube side.
Okay. We here at Wrestling Unloaded are saddened once again to hear of the passing of a pro wrestling legend. Adnan bin Abdul Karim Ahmed Al Kaisi Al Farathi, better known as Sheik Adnan Al-Kaissie and General Adnan, has passed away. He was born on March 1st, 1939 in Baghdad, Iraq, and interestingly was a high school friend of future dictator Saddam Hussein. In November of 2006, he would go on Fox News channels Hannity and Combs to speak of his experience with the young Saddam Hussein. In the late 1940s to early 1950s, Al-Kaissie played association football, aka soccer, and was an amateur wrestler in Iraq. He would move to the U.S. when he received a football scholarship to the University of Houston. He would later transfer to Oklahoma State University and switch sports to wrestling. He would have made the U.S. Olympic team at that time, but his citizenship had not been finalized. It wouldn't be until 1964 that he officially became a citizen of the U.S. And at that time, he had also married an American woman, which helped him get his citizenship finally to go through. Casey began pro wrestling in 1959, portraying an American Indian named Billy White Wolf. During the 1960s, he wrestled for Pacific Northwest Wrestling, which was a branch of the NWA. In the 1970s, he would return to Iraq to wrestle and become quite popular over there. In 1971, he became one of the few men who could say that they defeated Andre the Giant. He did so at an event at Al Shab Stadium in Baghdad. He would also wrestle in the US at the time, and on December 7th, 1976, he won the WWE, oops, that should be F, not an E, typo, Tag Team Gold as his Billy White Wolf persona along with Chief Jay Strongbow. His popularity in Iraq reached such levels that fans were purchasing him lavish homes and Mercedes Benz automobiles. In the late 1970s, he would be warned by nephews of his who were members of the excuse me, Iraqi Republican Guard that he was in danger from the Hussein regime, and he learned that his former friend was using him for propaganda. He fled back to the United States in 1980. From there, Al-Kaissie would go on to have a successful career as a manager in the AWA and WCCW promotions as Sheik Adnan Al-Kaissie. In the early 1990s, he moved over to the WWF and became the manager of a traitorous Sergeant Slaughter. As General Adnan, he acted as the lackey of Slaughter alongside fellow legend the Iron Sheik, aka Colonel Mustafa. Ironically, he portrayed a supporter of Saddam Hussein during Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm, the very dictator who he had fled from in 1980. He would retire from wrestling in 1998. Adnan Al-Kaissie passed away on September 6, 2023. He was 84 years old. So, I mean, This guy led a crazy life.
Yeah, like we were saying in the backstage. If Saddam Hussein wanted you dead and you're not dead, then you did something right because pretty much anybody he wanted dead got dead.
Especially if they were living in Iraq at the time.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, like Iraqi citizens. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he had also written a autobiography about his life, and it's supposed to be a really interesting read. Probably, and how he got out and everything, I would assume would be included in that book. So if you can
Yeah,
find it, it might be worth picking up.
he probably did like a lot of them, you know, uh, get out of the country for sports reasons and then just defect as soon as you can.
No, he had already defected. He was a U.S. citizen by that point.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. This was in the late 1970s, and he had became a citizen in the 60s. So.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So you weren't even paying attention to what I was reading to you. I tell you.
Barbecue said he'll be here shortly.
Yeah. Man, how crazy is it that he had fans buying him homes and Mercedes-Benz automobiles over there?
Well, I mean, you gotta figure Iraq. Iraq has never been a first world country ever. Well, maybe when it was Babylon, yeah, sure, back in ancient times. I'm talking about modern times. Since we've
Yeah.
been calling it Iraq, it's been a dump. Uh,
No, not the whole time. I mean, actually, Saddam actually had, other than him going around killing people that pissed him off, the country was rather developed at that point.
right, but most of the development had Saddam's address. You know what I mean? Now, Iran in the 70s was fantastic. It was like California. And
Yeah.
then, the crazy Muslims took over and destroyed it. But Iraq
Yeah.
is never.
Same with Lebanon. Lebanon was known as the the really fancy area in France on the Mediterranean that I can't think of right now.
Oh, right, yeah.
Huh?
Take on the Riviera.
Yeah, the
French
Riviera
Riviera.
of the Middle East. Yeah.
So you got to figure the people who in Iraq, they got enough money to buy Mercedes and houses and stuff for this dude had to be highly ranked government officials.
It's just you had the little you had the tribes too with their little chieftains and stuff. So there were people in Iraq that had money, but if you got that kind of fame and adoration of the people, Saddam didn't like that. You know, he was supposed to be the center of attention, and Al-Kaissie's lucky he got out of that country alive at that point. You know, people that gained that kind of popularity were known to disappear. Simply because Saddam's ego.
Oh man, that's the problem with a lot of those, overbearing dictators is they can't trust the people around them.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to kill them, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And if anybody's wondering, some of the people that Al-Kaissie had managed would include like Kamala, not Kamala, not the one sitting in the VP office. He probably would have slapped the hell out of her. But the Ugandan giant, Kamala, that Kamala.
That dude, I can't remember. I think I might have. If he goes back in the chat, I'll have to ask him. But I think I might have talked to Krabby that day. But I heard on the radio that they were talking about Kamala. I can't remember what his real first name was.
I can't remember either.
And his last name is Harris.
Mm-hmm.
So Kamala Harris I couldn't wait to get home and do the memorial video to Kamala Harris, man. That was so much fun.
Yeah. But, some other guys he managed, along with Gary Hart. If you remember Gary Hart, the guy that was always feuding with Von Erichs, ended up having his head shaved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and Adnan would team up, and they would manage a stable that would travel back and forth between WCCW and AWA. Included, I think Kamala was in that one. One Man Gang, Bruiser Brody. Trying to remember who else was in that. Shit.
Probably Abdullah the Butcher, if you're talking about
Yeah,
those.
yeah, Abdullah would have been in that at that time. Yeah, Chris Adams, his tag team partner Gino Hernandez, who sadly had passed away way back in the '80s. I think that was a drug deal gone bad or something where he got killed. Back then, wrestlers doing cocaine was a common thing, you know. Anyway, if there were heels in the AWA or WCCW at some point, Adnan probably had had something to do with those guys, especially after Bobby Heenan left for the WWE or WWF at the time. I think at one time Adnan may even have managed Hulk Hogan alongside Heenan. But, you know. And all the baby faces, you know, they were always feuding with Adnan's guys. People like Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, when they were the Midnight Rockers in AWA, they lost the tag titles to one of his tag teams.
Yeah, I mentioned the Midnight Rockers is like the dumbest name ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they took the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express and just chopped their names in half.
Yeah, basically that's what they did. Yeah.
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 That was like no work involved.
Nope. But they were a good tag team, and Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels were a hell of a tag team.
Yeah, I can say that. Yeah. Just they shorted us on they Ruger LCP'd us on the quality of the name.
Well, they dropped the Midnight part when they went to WWF.
Yeah.
It's still funny. They won the World Tag Team titles once in WWF, and it's not recognized because Vince got pissed off because the ring broke.
Right.
What the hell? It ain't the first time it ever happened. It sure wasn't going to be the last. And he throws a fit and says, "No, the match never happened."
Records in wrestling are so stupid because you think, I mean, obviously, if you got like an Andre the Giant or an Undertaker's WrestleMania records, things that are clear. Andre never been beat or whatever. Undertaker, 21 years in a row undefeated on WrestleMania. But like
Yeah.
to say John Cena is 65, 15, and 2 is dumb because 30 of his matches were shortened because somebody interfered or a count out or a disqualification for some odd reason. All the goofy stuff that happens in wrestling.
Yeah, it's like Ric Flair being credited for 16 world title reigns when if you actually do the actual math, it's somewhere between 20 and 30, depending on who you ask.
That's one of the things that I think makes AEW heads and shoulders above WWE is any one of their employees could stand out in the middle of the ring and use the term WWE or Vince McMahon, and it's fine.
Yeah, I believe somebody had just done that on Wednesday.
Well, I mean, they do it. They do it all the time. They reference
Yeah,
it all the time, and I love it, man, because you never. Cody Rhodes kind of did a little bit like you were saying with the Terry Funk Championship, but LA Knight's fired. If LA Knight comes out and says AEW is going to get their butts kicked, you're fired. You're fired right now.
So you didn't see the promo battle between Joe and MJF on Wednesday?
No, I didn't watch. I didn't get to see
Oh,
SmackDown
dude,
or Wednesday night.
you have to catch. You got to watch Dynamite this past week, man. Joe and MJF was brilliant on the
Nice.
microphone.
That's good
The
stuff.
two of them were tearing into each other on the mic.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I watched Raw and NXT. Raw was whatever. NXT was pretty good.
SmackDown was all right.
I haven't watched it yet. Did you ever see the Miz's impersonation of LA Knight on Raw the other night, last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I still haven't seen the whole thing, but I've seen clips of it.
No, well, then you've seen enough. The Miz did a pretty good job. It was fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and, since we're talking about the TV shows, Becky Lynch is going to beat Tiffany Stratton and take the title from her Tuesday.
Yep, and they'll probably have Stratton win it back from her at was it No Mercy?
I don't know if it'll be I don't know what the next main. So in my mind, I was thinking WrestleMania because I don't know how far away that is, but I would imagine that the next big pay per view, I would imagine Tiffany will want to run and crush everybody and then take it back in the next pay per view.
Yeah, the next NXT pay per view is No Mercy.
Well, yeah,
Right.
she might even get it on like a main card though, because Becky Lynch will be the champion. She could be on SummerSlam or whatever. I don't know what the next WWE pay per view is.
Next one for them is I think Fastlane in October.
I've never even heard of that.
Fastlane used to be one of the ones in the lead up to WrestleMania. It was the one between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, but when they got rid of the Hell in a Cell pay per view in October, they put Fastlane there because they got the Elimination Chamber in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania now.
Yeah, whichever. Maybe they could do the NXT because Tiffany's going to stay on NXT. But I definitely think Tuesday Becky Lynch is going to beat her.
That's possible because that's the one women's title that Lynch hasn't held in WWE.
Yeah, and it gives Tiffany a win and a second title reign over a veteran.
Right. Yeah. There's no shame in her losing to a main roster person. And then when she wins the title back from Lynch, that's going to just elevate her that much more because then she got her title back from the veteran that like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's only going to be a feather in her cap either way in both situations, you know.
Becky Lynch, I'm not really a big fan of the whole character. I mean, I don't mind her at all. She might be one of the best in-ring trainers, like live performance trainers in the female division because you watched Zoe Stark on NXT and she was kind of struggling, I mean, you could see potential in her, but she really wasn't doing all that much. And then when she got drafted on Raw, I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was like, well, she could use some experienced females to help her get better and let her shine. And this whole thing with her and Becky Lynch has really showed how talented Zoe Stark is. And hopefully this feud with Tiffany Stratton will sharpen her up too.
Yeah, having her in that program with Lynch, and as much as I don't really care for Trish Stratus, that really helps Zoe a lot.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw NXT, but Tiffany ended her little promo with "Toodles, bitch."
No, I did not catch NXT this week.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. The Braun Breaker match was I mean, it was pretty decent.
that Braun Breaker match, the ending, they cut it for a reason. Why did they cut it? They cut the show because Braun apparently accidentally hit Von Wagner with the stairs harder than he was supposed to, and they were legitimately worried that he was seriously injured at that point.
See, I thought, I thought that they planned it that way, and basically Braun was going to hit 3 feet away from his head and smash the stairs, but the camera had already been cut. I didn't hear that he. I
Yeah,
get it, you got 12 people in the audience. You want those 12 people to think you really hit the guy, but I think those 12 would have understood.
yeah. From what people that were there in attendance and everything said, Von Wagner was bleeding all over the damn place.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Braun Breaker is a beast.
Uh-huh. Caught him right in the back of the head with the stairs.
Jeez, man. Yeah, sometimes it's risky stuff, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have been all right with a foot wide miss, for the studio audience. But
Yeah.
I'm not a professional wrestler, so I guess.
Well, he was supposed to hit him lightly with the stairs, but make it look believable to the crowd. But from what they're saying, those stairs weigh like 150 pounds, and he lost partial grip on them when he started to swing them downwards, and he couldn't slow it up in time. Is what they were saying is what it seems like happened.
I
Because
guess.
they'll start to swing and then they'll pull up right before they make contact. And when he went to pull up, he didn't. He lost partial grip on the stairs, and they just slammed right down to the back of his head.
They were breaking kendo sticks over each other.
Oh, that's typical. Those things are gimmick to do that.
It's funny, man. Von Wagner had this one that was all broken, and he was just swinging this broken. It was funny, man. That was good. Von Wagner. Remember when Braun Breaker speared Carmelo Hayes through the side of the building, like I don't know what you want to call it, like the wall.
Yeah.
Uh, what's the guy's name? Von Wagner took Braun Breaker and like ran him, holding him, and crashed him through that wall.
You talk about that little like half wall between the where the ring is and the like where the timekeeper and stuff's at.
Yeah, it's like a big black wall. There's like
Yeah, the
elevated
little
seats
barrier.
above it or whatever, like a balcony
Yeah,
seat above it.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I haven't seen any updates to know if he is really hurt or not. Because you think something like that could easily give somebody at least a concussion, right?
Well, you also got to think, as big and strong as Braun Breaker is, 150 pounds in your hand, shaped like the top of a set of steps. I mean, that's going to be difficult for any man to control.
Yeah. And what makes it even scarier is Von Wagner's history with the issues with his skull and everything from when he was a kid.
Yeah, again, if I'm Shawn Michaels and I'm writing up that whole scene, Braun Breaker's missing him by a foot. I just want the sound because we're gonna cut the camera. I just want the
Mm-hmm.
sound of the steps banging into each other, and then the crowd. Oh my god! Oh my god! But you don't need to actually pretend like you're gonna hit the guy. What's up, Jay?
Hey, Jason.
Evening, fellas.
Yeah, that's just a messed up situation all the way around. Because the guy already had issues with his head and everything, and then to get whacked with the stairs like that could have seriously hurt the guy. You gotta be careful doing that kind of shit. You really do. With somebody who even doesn't have those kind of injuries, I mean, he could have broke his neck, fractured his skull.
Yes, Rich. the human body and flying stairs don't go together.
No.
This is even worse. They weren't flying. They were being javelin downed on top of somebody's
Yeah.
head that was pinned in between the other set of the steps.
Yeah, it's more like they were being used as a 150-pound sledgehammer.
Yeah, flying may have been the wrong term to use. More like 150-pound crushing blow in the
Uh-huh.
human body doesn't match well together.
No, not in the least.
Okay, I heard. I just jumped in. So, who was it that got stared?
Von Wagner, he's one of the wrestlers on NXT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's the one that,
it was the last minute of NXT.
yeah, he's the one that Kingpin and I have been talking about that had all the issues with his neck when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Or not his neck, his skull.
Well, just be thankful it wasn't an escalator.
It's hard to pick an escalator up and hit somebody with it.
That's why these wrestlers go to the gym, Rich.
It's called steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're still kind of awkward.
Yeah, he figured it out.
I mean, if he was wrestling Superman, I could see it.
That's the next backstage parking lot brawl. These wrestlers got to go at it at like the airport, man, and beat each other on the escalators. And the ones that like we got them flat here. You just hop on, they don't actually go uphill. Like one wrestler
Yeah,
would be
people
on one, and
movers.
he just wait till it comes back around. You know what I mean? Then he's back in the action.
Yeah, but I don't know if the TSA would approve of them wrestling in an airport.
We could get some Dumb and Dumber action going on and have them fight on the jetway, and the loser gets tossed off the jetway onto the tarmac.
And Sting could do his dog dive off of like the wing of a 747 down on top of him and crush him into like the luggage cart and shit.
Well, how about this? You have a pay-per-view in Seattle and you have the guys wrestle on top of the Space Needle.
No, what I was just saying, man. Imagine that. Here's the garbage or the luggage cart pulled up. Sorry, the luggage cart pulled up. The little train. Darby Allen up on the wing, does a flip, comes down on his back, crushes everybody on the luggage. Oh man.
You know what I'm talking about, right? You know that big tower looks like it has a UFO at the top of it?
Uh-huh.
Have them wrestle on top of that.
Oh, Rich, I'm afraid of heights. I can't watch that.
They did Money in the Bank on top of the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut during COVID. They had to fight their way up to where the ladder was at the top through the building. Kofi and AJ ended up fighting in Vince McMahon's office. McMahon sitting there behind his desk the whole time. It was freaking hilarious. It's probably one of the best of the filmed staged matches that they had during the COVID era. That one was pretty funny.
See, man, a brawl in an airport, though, like TSA could stop, like, uh, what's his name? The other John Moxley. TSA could like stop him, make him get through the metal detector, find the little screwdriver shank he's got on him and shit. And
Yeah,
while
you
they're
know what?
doing that, somebody could hit him from behind on the neck. And like, yeah, we could, an airport match would be great.
Yeah, now that you bring up Moxley, I could see AEW doing something like that before I would see WWE doing it.
If you want to see brawls at the airport, you can type that into YouTube. There's all kinds of fights at the airport.
That's true. They
could do that motherfucker ain't real.
They could do stadium. Right. They could do Stadium Stampede, but and call it Airport Stampede instead, and have a 6-on-6 at the airport.
I mean, Jason does have a pretty good thing going, because they could do it kind of like as a promo. we got this big event in California, and all the guys are leaving North Carolina.
Hmm.
So they just happen to be in the airport at the same time, and like John Moxley's going through the metal detector, and here comes uh I don't know what's your guy's name again? What's the guy who?
Omega.
Yeah, Kenny Omega. Stabbing him in the back of the head with a fork, and then here comes the cops and all kinds of different FBI agents, and have a big old battle royal in the airport.
Oh, you know what would have been cool? If they would have done it All In. Have Stadium Stampede start at Heathrow as they were getting off the airplane, and they fight their way all the way to Wembley Stadium.
Yeah,
But they can't win. They can't win Stadium Stampede until they actually get in the stadium.
I think it might be like a law and over there in Britain that if you're fighting in the street, you got to be drunk.
Well, it would all be staged like when they film movies and shit over there.
No, the wrestlers would probably have to drink while they're fighting just to obey the law.
Well, Mox can't. He's a recovering alcoholic. Yeah, he's got.
The
He's got.
stipulation for that is he has to either have a Man U shirt on or what's the other team, Chelsea. You got to have one of those two jerseys on.
Yeah, but a couple of years ago, Mox had went through rehab and everything, trying to get his life together after his wife had her daughter. So he's trying to quit with all that drinking and stuff, get his life in order, so that he can be a good dad for his little girl. Granted, this is the same guy that at All In had a bunch of wooden skewers sticking out top of his head.
Oh, what's the guy's name? Chad Gable. Chad Gable had his kids at ringside.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, it was heartbreaking seeing these little girls crying their bawling their eyes out after he lost.
Oh man, because they kept cutting to him, and when he was
Uh-huh.
winning, they were like, "Oh yeah, all happy and excited," and then he started getting beat down, and they just started bawling in tears.
Oh man, and his daughter after he lost, and she's just sitting there, she's just crying her little heart out so bad. It's like, oh my god.
Life is tough, princess. Suck it up.
We're talking young kids, Jason. They don't know that they're not the age yet to understand all that. They just know daddy just lost.
I blame the parents then. It's
Yeah,
time to talk to your kids.
yeah, they were like probably like 5 years old, man. They should have just been left at home that day.
Well, hell, when Mick Foley went through the Hell in a Cell, his kids were there to watch that.
Jason just said, bad parenting can happen to
Uh-huh.
anybody, I guess.
The kids is worthless. They should have been helping dad anyways.
Yeah, they
No,
used to
I
be
know they're 5. They don't have to go throw fists, but they could have climbed on the apron. They could have distracted the ref. They could have tossed in a chair, a screwdriver, something. They're just not helping the family, man. Some freeloaders, some Fredos.
kids these days.
Mm-hmm. Broke my heart, Fredo. Yeah, see, if Jason had kids, he'd be out there Sonny Corleoning them.
Like my father always said to me, you just go sit there and watch this shit go down or just do something. Actually, my father's last words were, careful, son, that gun's loaded.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, in the obligatory CM Punk news this week, Ace Steel was fired once again from AEW. You remember that was CM Punk's buddy that bit Kenny Omega last year at that fight. They had
Bit him.
rehired him from a work at home situation or some shit when they brought Punk back as part of the stipulation, and they fired him this week.
How do you work from home if you're a professional wrestler?
I have no. Well, he wasn't a wrestler. He was just somebody that was working with Punk. So they gave him some job that he could do from home to make Punk happy, which just shows how much Tony Khan was bending over backwards to try and make Punk happy, and it still wasn't enough to make Punk happy.
We all talked about this, man. Like, we knew it wasn't going to work out when they brought him back. We knew it wasn't going to work out when they brought him back again. And we knew it wasn't going to work out this time.
I knew it wasn't going to work when they first said he was contemplating hiring him for AEW. He was like, oh.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about this in 6 months, 8 more months. We'll give it 8 months this time. CM Punk will be back.
Yeah. Well, there's already rumors that he wants to, or WWE wants to sign him and all this other crap. I don't see it happening personally. But you never know. Never, like Jeff Jarrett said on his podcast this week, which if you're not watching Jeff Jarrett's podcast, you need to check that out. But he's like, never say never in pro wrestling. He's like, but Conrad Thompson was going down the list as like AEW people that Punk could go to work for was what Conrad asked Jarrett. And he's like, when you first asked me that question, I'm sitting here thinking, Impact, nope, he burned his bridge there. New Japan, nope, because they're not going to want to piss off AEW. WWE, hell no, because Vince said that he's never going to work with the guy again. And then there was another one he said, and he was like, nope, because of number 1. So it's like, yeah, Jeff Jarrett doesn't think anybody's going to want to sign him, but never say never. What Jeff Jarrett said he could see Punk doing is try setting up his own thing. He's got the money to do it. All you have to do is get somebody else to help back him on it and put on a show like once every so many months or something on pay-per-view level, kind of like what the original All In was when Cody and the Bucks and Omega and Tony Khan, before AEW was ever a thing, way back in 2018, did an independent show because Dave Meltzer bet Cody that I think his bet was like $10,000 or something, that Cody Rhodes, that nobody would ever put on an indie show that would sell out. Was it Sears Center? So I think it was the Sears Center in Chicago, and they did it. They sold the place out. But yeah, that's what Jarrett's thinking. Maybe Punk, if he's going to do anything, would probably end up having to do, because he doesn't think any of the major promotions are going to want to hire him at this point.
Cody Rhodes sold out his neck.
This was before Cody had the stupid tattoo. Yeah, but in further Punk news from this week, came out, I think today, that about a month ago, Punk had his lawyer write up a letter and send it to AEW, insisting that the Young Bucks were not allowed to make any kind of mention of him on their show, Being the Elite, on YouTube. He said that in the letter, it said they did a skit where Matt Jackson screwed up a business deal, and somehow this was referring to CM Punk, according to the letter that Punk had his lawyer send AEW. The one problem with that is this is a storyline that's been going on since the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and all them were over in New Japan still. it's something that crops up every so often where they get some kind of business deal offered to them, and somehow Matt Jackson fucks it up. And somehow CM Punk thought this was about him. Anyway, hey, barbecue.
What's going on?
Not much.
What's up, barbecue?
Kingpin?
Hey,
Jason?
so at the beginning, did you say R.I.P. to what's the dude's name?
Adnan
Adnan.
Al-Kaissie.
Al-Kaissie. Now,
Yep.
I can barely remember him. Was he just like the manager for like the Sheik and them guys?
Yeah, he was a manager. He was the manager dressed up like a Sheik in the 80s. And then early 90s, when he was in WWE, he became Sergeant Slaughter's manager when Slaughter became a heel.
Okay, yeah.
That guy had an interesting
So-
life. Go ahead, barbecue.
Oh, it's all right. It was just a fun little story since there was a silence there. I was burning some stuff the other night, just trash. I don't pay for trash service because why the heck would I when I can just burn everything? Like, it's no brainer. So I'm out burning trash and Slider comes out and I was like, "Hey, dude," I was like, "You're turning 5 soon. You know, what do you want the theme of your party to be?" And he's throwing out all these ideas, and he says that when he grows up, he wants to be an astronaut cowboy. I was like, "Yeah?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "So you want to be a space cowboy?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right."
Ooh,
All right, perfect. Perfect theme. The Japanese anime Cowboy Bebop. It was a space western.
True.
That go with Steve Miller first.
Yeah, Steve Miller's a commie.
All right, screw Steve Miller. Then Bebop it is.
I was just excited when he said he wanted to be a space cowboy.
Yeah.
I was like,
Get
"Oh
him
yeah."
Get him a IWI Jericho and everything, because that's the gun that the main character on the show uses.
I don't think he's picking up on what you're putting down, barbecue.
He's not.
Oh no, I got it. I could play it right now if you want.
No, that's all right. You'll mess up everybody. Like, you've only got like 3 people watching. You don't want to scare them off in the first quarter of the show.
Yeah, we'll give people watching this on replays.
Rich,
Except for last week when my wife decided that she was going to have the TV on in the background, and CBS took the episode, the WWE pay-per-view down for copyright infringement on it because you could hear NCIS a little bit in the background.
Oh,
Did you just recommend he get an IWI Jericho
he did.
for his kid's 5th birthday party?
Yeah, why not? I didn't say he had to give it to him right then and there. I mean, he could supervise him with it and then
Why
put it
wouldn't
away
you?
for when he gets older.
I believe starting him young, but 5's a bit much for a full size semi-automatic 9mm.
I say I had
At
my
least wait till
daughter
they're 6.
shooting officer size 45 when she was 6.
I was shooting 22s when I was 5. I don't know. I was shooting 38s when I was 6 or 7.
This isn't a gun chat. This is a wrestling. What are we doing?
I don't know. It's your fault. You're the one that brought up being a space cowboy.
Well, Space Cowboys goes with the Macho Man thing. Jericho, obviously, Chris Jericho. So all of it's related.
Okay, we'll go with Kingpin's theory. That's it. You can have him dress up as Macho Man. right? Have his best friend dress up like Bret Hart, and
And you
theme the
got
rest of the party like Cowboy Bebop. You have uh, Bret Hart could be the character of Jet. Randy Savage could be the character of Spike, and then Randy Savage could have the Jericho. So your son can be dressed like Randy Savage with a Jericho and say he's Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop. Everything's it's all wrapped up and put everyone with nice bow on top.
and
True.
uh, you got Orange Cassidy, the 9mm of the wrestling world.
He's
Very
not. I'm not
popular,
having my son play
but
pocket
doesn't
pool when
really
he's
kick
5.
much ass.
The
It
FCC
has
needs to
been.
look into that.
It has been a nice week with John Moxley holding the new title.
What title does he have now?
The international
He took-
title.
He took
Oh
oranges.
yeah, that's right.
He squeezed the blood in the orange right out of him.
They're changing up Orange's character. He gave a pretty impassioned promo on Wednesday. He's not done with Moxley.
Good. I'd love to see Moxley beat the shit out of him again.
Thea Hale is definitely going full not good girl anymore. I'm not saying she's going completely bad girl, but she's definitely not good girl anymore.
I'm glad you pronounced her name right.
Yeah, he actually
Yeah.
said it right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's been working hard on that. I could tell.
I have.
Yeah. Normally he says Mia.
She's just lucky I didn't just decide her name was Mia, and I was willing to call her by her real name.
Yeah.
Oh, fun fact. Speaking of people that Jason is screwy when it comes to them, the outfit that Rhea Ripley wore last weekend, that was an homage to China. It was based on one of China's outfits.
Yeah, well, China who?
I guess I could see that now. You're looking back. I wasn't thinking about it, during the match, but
Yeah, it didn't dawn on me either. They brought it up on one of the wrestling shows I watch on YouTube this week, and it was like, holy shit, yeah, that is. It was almost identical to one of the outfits that China had worn. And it took how many years?
You think that they'll let that Rodriguez chick take because she's got a title match against Rhea rematch? You think they'll let her take the belt and then Rhea take it back at the next pay per view, kind of like the Tiffany thing?
I don't know where they're going with that, to be honest with you.
Where they're going with it is their women's division sucks.
They need to just have one women's division. Just combine the division into one and be done with it. They don't have enough women wrestlers to have two women's divisions on the main roster.
They should just put Rhea as the godmother of the wrestling, and she comes out and cuts promos once in a while, and then every once in a while Becky Lynch will think she's tough and come out in the ring, and then Rhea can choke slam her, and then that's it. Somebody else can hold the titles and do all that kind of stuff. Because none of those, I mean, okay, Rodriguez, whatever her name is, she's a big girl. She sucks at wrestling. Her character is terrible. There's no way she's putting any butts in the seats. So you're going to take the title from the most popular female on your roster and give it to some NPC? That'd be stupid.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of the women's division, there is definitely a curse on these women's tag team titles.
Did Chelsea Green get hurt?
No, her new tag team partner got sick and couldn't be there on Monday.
Yeah, I noticed Piper wasn't there.
Yeah. So those belts are cursed.
Piper Niven would be the only one that would be a realistic challenge for Rhea. And that's just because she's such a big, tough, mean character. But Piper Niven against Becky Lynch, that's a 2-second match.
Yeah. On the Raw roster, anyway. I mean, you got some of the women over on the SmackDown roster could be competitors. I mean, Charlotte Flair's already beaten Ripley once for the NXT title, you know? It's like, that's what I'm saying. They need to combine the two women's rosters into one. They don't have enough women who are viable competitors for the women's world title or the SmackDown women's title. What are they calling it? The Universal Women's title now or some shit? Or they just calling it the WWE Women's Championship still. I don't remember. But they don't have enough women across both brands to have two separate women's divisions. They just don't. They need to combine them into one women's division. And if anything, make one of the two women's titles like a mid-card championship and then have the world title as the women's or something along those lines, main title.
And then put all the women on Raw.
Well, you can have them on both shows, SmackDown and Raw.
I mean, you could.
But Raw, you have 3 hours. Yeah, Raw, you do have 3 hours to fill, whereas SmackDown,
exactly.
you only have 2.
Like, because I'm not saying, like, have no women on SmackDown, but you don't have to have women on SmackDown as a thing. Like, you could have Rhea Ripley appear on SmackDown, obviously, when Judgment Day is on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to further a storyline with that at all, you know, or, you know, have a run-in, you know, things like that. But you don't necessarily have to have matches happening.
Right. If you remember back to when they did the first brand split in the early 2000s, the women's championship was on one brand and the other brand had the cruiserweight division.
Yep.
Why don't they have a female intercontinental championship?
I don't know.
Because women aren't allowed on but one continent.
They never had a women's division large enough to warrant having 2 titles, to be perfectly honest.
I could definitely see mixing Raw and SmackDown, all one women's division. Definitely cool with that. I'm a little hesitant about them messing with NXT because everything about NXT, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, you keep NXT separate. I think it was kind of silly to join. I mean, I can see why they did it because the women's tag titles were supposed to be for all 3 shows in the first place. And there weren't really enough women on NXT to warrant having a tag team division in addition to the women's title. So to merge those two together into one championship made sense.
Totally dissolve the women's tag team. Get rid of that altogether. That's stupid.
No, it's cursed.
Get a women's world champion, a women's, say, intercontinental champion or television champion, or like, you know, second in command type of champion. Build off 3 or 4 titles that way. And then let them all run through that. But NXT, like I said, in my opinion, is just a good show right now. The women's division is entertaining. The men's, the tag team, all of it's all working. And them bringing some of the main roster stars onto the show and little drips and drabs is working out pretty good too. I don't want them messing that up. They don't need the new Coke NXT right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, they already did the new Coke NXT thing and it failed miserably. That was the Rainbow Puke version when McMahon was running NXT.
I'm sorry, but it should be painfully obvious to everyone that McMahon has lost his touch and Triple H is where it's at.
Hmm.
And when I say everyone, I mean board of directors, who's he, what's it, that just bought WWE, and that merger is what, set to go through on Tuesday.
Yeah. And when it does, Vince is only going to have 10% of the company. So he's not going to have complete and total control of everything like he has in the past.
No, but they're still giving him a controlling role like he had, as in say so. I mean, granted, it's going to be easier to get him out of that role now, but
He's going to have to answer to the board of directors. Whereas before he controlled the board of directors, he's not going to have that control anymore.
If Vince has got half a brain, and I think he does, he's cutting all of his assets, and he should cut all of his control and just go away. His lawsuit stuff isn't going to help. If he's got $10 trillion in the bank for the last 10 years of his life, they're going to take 9 of it. So if he's got $1 million in the bank, they'll take a couple 100,000 and he can just chill.
Well, that's already been settled. That's already been settled and been dealt with. That's gone away.
is that a fucking demon?
I thought
I
that
don't know what the hell that was.
I thought that they had another one come through. What are you guys talking about, Dean?
Oh, you didn't hear it?
Microphone.
That was the depths of hell that just opened up, and fucking Satan just flew out.
I know, right? Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's Kingpin. That's why he didn't hear it. It's like the one who smelt it, dealt it. When in this case, the one who didn't hear it's at fault.
Right on. Yeah, I thought there was more Vince stuff that he had to deal with.
That's pretty much nothing. It's been swept under the rug.
No, okay.
There was a possibility that the government would file charges, but I highly doubt that's happening at this point. Not that it can't happen with them going after Trump and all these people the way they are. But at this point right now, as it stands, Vince pretty much skated.
Right on.
I'm trying to remember what else happened this week.
That is one thing I'd like to know. Why the hell it's illegal to pay somebody, like, hey, here's an NDA. No, shut the fuck up.
Well, it's not illegal to do so. What he did that was potentially illegal was he
McMahon
used
did it
company
with
funding without without permission.
There's that issue.
Yeah, that was the issue the whole time. It wasn't that he paid them off. There was nothing illegal or anything about that because they consented. They signed the agreements. They took the money. At that point, that's on them. The problem was that he took it from company funds.
Yes. But even like with Trump, people are like, he paid Stormy Warren this money to put the shuck up and blah, blah, blah. So what? She took the money. Shut up, bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You ran your mouth? Give the money back.
Once you take that money and you sign that agreement, that's on you.
Like, it's one thing if you're like, I'm going to have sex with you for this money, and then I would like you to sign this NDA so you don't tell anybody. That's a different story because then that's prostitution. But you're paying them for signing the NDA, that's different.
That's a settlement at that point.
We got some really gooped up laws in this country. Anyways, this is a wrestling chat. I mean,
Well,
granted,
we were
that
talking
did
about
pertain.
dates.
I was going to say, I mean, it did pertain to Vince McMahon in wrestling, but
What do you guys think about WWE bringing out the replica championship belts, but instead of being the actual championship belts, they're different sports teams, like the NFL team ones that they were showing during the pay-per-view last weekend?
oh, I didn't see those.
Dumb.
Yeah, I didn't see those. Oh, I was so
Oh, you
mad
didn't
too.
see-
I lost friggin' internet in that friggin' Kenny Omega match last week.
Oh man, that was
How'd
a
that
good
end?
match.
It was.
Omega lost.
Really?
Yep.
That annoyed me a little bit because I couldn't friggin' get back. Because I think I've told you guys before, when I lose internet, sometimes I lose friggin' cell service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
like,
a good
son of
match. A lot of the wrestling programs were saying that was match of the night. For not having a lot of build, because of All In being a week before, All Out was a damn good pay-per-view.
They should have done between there, done like all in, and they should have like kind of out, and then they should have done all out.
We're going to do the same thing next year. They've already announced it.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. In October 1st. Oh, excuse me. We got another AEW pay-per-view coming up. But it's not. I don't think it's going to be a yearly one. This one they're doing because it's going to be the 1-year anniversary of Inoki passing away. So they're doing like a memorial show for him.
Oh. Well, that's nice of them.
Yeah, they're trying to get New Japan to join in on it and stuff. So that could be an interesting setup, kind of like Forbidden Door is.
Yeah.
In AEW, they have a lot of guys that were signed to New Japan at one point, so they've all had dealings with Inoki at some point. Specifically like the Elite, Bullet Club Gold, couple of the other people that have been working there. Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Best Friends. Those guys have all worked in New Japan. So to do a memorial show on the 1-year anniversary of his passing, it's not a bad idea.
No.
Antonio Inoki is probably the most influential Japanese wrestler that ever lived. If you look at some of the guys that guy's fought, if it wasn't for the fact that, like we were talking earlier, how WWE doesn't recognize all the title holders and stuff, Inoki would have been the first Japanese wrestler to ever hold the WWE World Heavyweight title. But they don't recognize his reign for whatever damn reason. So because of that, no Japanese wrestlers ever held that title. Now, interesting theory. Okay. Rhea Ripley has the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship. If Io Sky or Asuka win it, does that make them the first Japanese wrestler to hold the world title?
Japanese American.
They're not Japanese American, Jason. They're Japanese. They're born and raised in Japan, man.
Yep.
Oh, it was. Speaking of those two, it was funny on SmackDown last night. They were both cutting promos on each other in English.
Nice. Would have been even funnier than it probably was if they were like doing it by telling your mama jokes.
And they kept slipping in and out of Japanese and English. It was pretty funny.
Well, before we forget, today's the day we're supposed to never forget. Today is 9/11.
No, today is 9/9.
Yeah, I don't want you to forget when 9/11 gets here.
Oh, that'll be Monday.
So don't forget the day you can't forget.
Jason forgot what day it is, and he's telling us not to forget.
April 22nd, 1779, a day that will live in infamy.
I thought that was December 7th, 1941.
Well, you're trying to say that January 29th or April 29th wasn't important? Is that what you're just going to tell me that?
No, I'm saying I thought the date was a day that would live in infamy was December 7th, 1941, according to FDR.
So there could be more than one day that might live in infamy at all, ever?
No. FDR just said that December 7th, 1941, the day that will live in infamy, so that's got to be the only one that can, right?
Nope, we've already been down this road. Rich in his math. It's universal for the universe. So one day, that's it. Blame it on the Japs.
It does kind of tie back into the two Japanese wrestlers we were just talking about.
Yeah, I know that's where I was going when I wanted to start talking about 9/11 because you talk about the Jap girls, and I was thinking to ask them about 1941 or ask them about, the bomb or something.
Well, neither one of them are from Nagasaki or Hiroshima, so I don't know if asking about the
Well,
bomb.
fuck no shit. Nobody's from there, Rich.
Actually, there
we
are
make
people
the best damn bombs in the world. That's why.
There
No
are
shit
people
they
living
ain't
in
from
both.
there.
No, both cities are populated now. See,
Yeah,
those were
bunch of
atomic.
three-armed
They weren't
people.
nuclear. They were
Bunch of three-armed glow-in-the-dark kids and shit.
That's the common misconception, man. They were atomic bombs, not nuclear bombs. Radiation's not as bad. The fallout doesn't last as long.
Did you guys hear that? The radiation's not as bad.
It's not. If you know how atomic and nuclear differ, atomic energy
like
and atomic bombs aren't as bad as nuclear bombs.
Yeah, but that's like saying this cancer ain't so bad. Radiation's bad. Doesn't matter if it's little bad or big bad. Radiation's bad.
I'm talking half-life wise, Jason. Atomic bombs, when an atomic bomb goes off, the half-life of the fallout isn't as long as with a nuclear bomb. So the area is able to be repopulated much sooner. That's why Chernobyl hasn't been started to do any kind of repopulation or anything in that area, because the fallout's so bad from when that went down, because that was nuclear, not atomic. There's a difference between the two.
We should have made 3 of them, and then we wouldn't have to deal with these Japanese wrestlers today.
Nothing wrong with Japanese wrestlers, man. Nothing wrong.
But if we did something like that, then we wouldn't have Japanese women. Where would you get all your porn?
Girls are prettier. Yeah, we need more Korean female wrestlers, and we need more Thai female wrestlers. We've got our fill of the Jap girls.
I don't know. The Thai kind of scare the shit out of me because they can whoop some ass. You ever see
Thai? You'd have to do locker room inspections, because lady boys, and it was the same with Brazil. Brazil leads the world in production of transsexual porn for a reason.
Why the fuck
this
do
is
you
like-
know
yeah,
that?
yeah.
How do I
They
know
got
this?
some-
No, I said,
Because
why
when
do
I
you
was-
know that? I didn't ask
Well,
how
okay,
you know that.
I
I don't
will-
want to know how you know
okay.
it. I want to know
Okay,
why
I
you
will
know
explain.
it.
I will explain why I know this, and I've explained this before. When I was in college, psychology, we had to study the effects of pornography on Western civilization. That was a, shall we say, interesting class to have to take.
All right,
I'm
before
sure it
you
was. Rich was like,
train
hold on,
rail-
I'm gonna get to go to class and watch porn. This is
No,
awesome.
we didn't watch it.
Uh-huh.
No, we just had to learn about the different variations of it and all the kinks that weirdos have in this world.
Well, I just want to make it clear, since you done derailed, took the sidetracks off on this one, you blew what
Yeah, you're
my
the one that brought
point
up
was.
Thai chicks,
No.
man, not me.
I just want to point
right.
out, for the record,
Shit's getting
there
blown.
are some hot
Trans
Oriental
porn from
chicks.
Brazil. What the fuck is going on here?
No, there is
This is supposed to be a
hot
wrestling
Thai
chat.
chicks. There's hot Korean chicks, and they're real women. Not the shit you're talking about. Be careful. There are some real ones left out there, and I would just like to point that out.
Kingpin, are you worried about these guys? See, you guys you scared off Kingpin.
Oh man, I have faith that each person will do what's best for them at any specific time.
I admire you, Kingpin. I wish I had your faith.
That sounded like a cop-out answer, if you ask me.
Make sure your girl is pure for the funky Cole Medina.
Mm-hmm.
That's a politically correct way of saying that. I think Jason will tap him in the crotch to make sure.
Jason doesn't want to run into a Lola, is what you're saying? Come on, you guys don't remember the Kinks song, Lola?
Oh, yeah. Lola. Strong enough for man, made for what? No, what was Lola? Was
I know what I am. What I am is a man, and so was Lola. Lola, Lola, Lola.
squeezed me, hugged me, and broke my spine, or something like that. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I thought that was like Lou Graham or something.
No, that was the Kinks. And I am surprised that song got radio play in the 60s.
Yeah, think about most music. People don't really know what the person's talking about. They just like the rhythm, the beat, the sound, the way it just makes them feel, and all that kind of stuff. If you really sat down and looked at the lyrics to half the songs that people like, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. Get Back by the Beatles. They talk about a tranny in that song, too.
All right, man.
You know the
Let's shift
song Louie
gears.
Louie?
Get off the tranny deal.
Yeah,
Let's go to automatic overdrive.
But
It's
hold
your
on.
fault, Jason. You started it. You're the one that started talking about Thai chicks.
I said Thai chick, real chicks. I didn't say like fucking fag lady.
After
I
you
said
were called
real
on
chick.
it, you said real ones.
So the song Louie Louie, you guys know that song?
Uh-huh.
You know, it was investigated by the FBI for 2 years when it came out because they thought it was using vulgar language.
So was Puff the Magic Dragon.
What are you talking about, Fokker? That was just the kid's magic dragon. What are you talking about?
I thought it was a gunship in Vietnam.
Gonna take my ass down to Chinatown. Speaking of movies, that was a funny ass movie right there. I really don't like that Trump hating De Niro, but man, that was a funny movie.
Yeah, I like the first one the best.
Dude's name turned out to be Gaylord Falker. That is funnier.
cats have nipples. You can milk them. I have nipples. Can you milk me, Greg?
You milked him, didn't you, you son of a bitch?
You guys know this is about to turn back into a training conversation now, right?
Unfortunately.
A stick shift training.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Righty then. How the hell do we get this back on track?
You don't. You don't.
All the people say L.A. Night.
Yeah.
Won't lie, I hate that catchphrase of yeah. Like it started to grow on me for like a couple days, and then I'm just like, no, it's fucking annoying. Like just
Ooh.
anything else, but I shouldn't say anything else because I'm sure there's things that could be worse. But just the word yeah, like I don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah. It's not just yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah, is a really cool word. In my early 20s, I worked at this surgery center, and one of the girls that worked there was pretty cool. And the smoking section was like outside where I worked at. So when she come by, like our thing became yeah. It's weird, it's something, but yeah, is something that's kind of cool. Man. You can make yeah work for you in many different ways.
And I get that, and like in situations like that, I can get. I just, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it because it is pro wrestling, you know. So perhaps I am overthinking it.
Speaking of,
because everything
LA
else about
Knight,
LA Knight, I love. Like the guy is friggin' phenomenal, but
yeah. And speaking of LA Knight, last night he got his win back over Theory, and then after the match, a couple segments later, they do a backstage segment where Paul Heyman is interacting with Adam Pearce, the guy that's supposed to be running SmackDown and Raw and whatnot, and they're talking about something. LA Knight comes walking in and gets Adam Pearce to give him a match, I think next week or week after, against The Miz, another match, because The Miz pulling all the shit he's been pulling. And then Adam Pearce walks away, and Paul Heyman gets mad at LA Knight for interrupting him. And the way that's coming off, it looks like they may be setting up an LA Knight versus Roman Reigns storyline.
Oh, yeah. That would be good.
I don't know. Do you think they give Roman Reigns 2,000 days with the title, or you think they put it on LA Knight?
no, they're not giving that belt to LA Knight. If anything, they give Seth's belt to LA Knight at some point. I don't know if they have him take it off of Seth or if they do a bridge champion for LA Knight to take it off of. I actually, did you catch the dirt sheets about this, Rich, on why they haven't pushed LA Knight yet?
Because of the contract.
Yep. They are trying to work out a long-term contract because they don't want to put the rocket ship on him until they know that they have him locked in.
Yeah, and it was coming out today. They're supposedly close to getting him on a 5-year deal.
Yep. Which, I mean, hell, I could be completely wrong then.
5-year deal.
Yeah, because it's not unknown for WWE to put a title on somebody as an incentive for them to sign the contract.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to lock him into a 5-year deal, they very well could take that belt off of Roman with him. I have trouble believing it, though. I mean, there's too much money invested in Cody. There's too much money in the
Well,
bloodline
hold
still.
on. Who says LA Knight's going to hold it for any length of time? They could put it on him on one pay-per-view, and then he could lose it back to Roman at like the Royal Rumble.
But why do it then? If you're going to put that rocket ship on him, that
to
kills
get him to sign the deal. WWE's done this before. They put a title on somebody to get him to sign a deal.
They do. But
are we sure that they're even going to set up Cody versus Roman? I know that's what everybody wants, but are we absolutely sure that that's what they're going to do?
Well, it just seems to me, my input on this, I bet LA Knight will sign the deal, whether he gets a title shot at Roman Reigns or they put the title on him or not. He's going to sign the deal.
Who's in charge of creative at Mania? Or going into Mania, I should say. Triple H or McMahon?
It's going to be Triple H.
Then I say it's Cody and Roman. Unless they can get The Rock. If they get The Rock, it's Rock and Roman.
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't want to see Cody or The Rock versus Roman.
Unfortunately, the time to put it on Cody was last Mania. The time to put it on Sami Zayn was last Mania, or what the hell was the pay-per-view before that? Payback? No, Payback's supposed to be after Mania.
No, you're talking about with Roman and Sami? That was at Royal Rumble where the two of them had their match.
Was that Rumble?
Yep.
So, but that would have been the time to put it on Sami. Would have been then.
Here's another thought. Who says it has to be Roman that Cody takes the title off of? The story isn't that he has to be Roman. The story is just that he has to win the title that his dad never held.
Yeah. But you're also talking about the Hard Time storyline that they're redoing. And everything that
that was with Lesnar.
Well,
the Hard Times thing was with Lesnar because Cody even brought it up and got the fans turned against him because he brought up that the Hard Times thing was him versus Lesnar.
But people were thinking that was happening even before they had him square off with Lesnar.
Oh, yeah, people thinking it happens one thing. That what WWE put in their storyline is totally different.
And they can still have him face adversity because we've got 8 months until Mania. They can still have him face plenty of adversity. And the thing is, because like I said before, was it last? Well, I think it was last week during the pay-per-view. You know, what's the one way to topple Roman? You know, for sure. You have Cody aligned with all these people that Roman has stepped on, and
they could have done that last year, and they dropped the ball. They could have had Cody with Sami and KO, and that would have been the perfect way to set that up.
Wait a second.
It still would have had outnumbered. You'd have had.
Riddle would have came in and interfered because Riddle sticks his nose everywhere.
Yeah, but then you still have to have an equalizer for Heyman. Sorry, King. What? Don't mean to keep stepping on you.
No. I think you guys are working up something pretty good here because I think barbecue might be a little bit further ahead. The Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes drafting Jey Uso to Raw, I think is where it begins. I think that was the very beginning of Cody Rhodes and the next Roman Reigns feud. And I think it's going to work out barbecue said. He's going to get Jey Uso as buddy, and Sami Zayn's going to get buddies again. Kevin Owens is going to get buddies again. Drew McIntyre, the whole crew, and it'll be 50 people around the ring keeping anybody that. Well, Roman Reigns won't have any friends left because then Jimmy Uso will come back. Paul Heyman. Well, you know what I mean. He'll come back to being cool with Jey. And
No, Jimmy's trying to get back in with Roman.
I know, but by the time WrestleMania comes around, that's not going to be the case. Him
Yeah,
and Solo
here's
will
the thing.
be on Cody's
Here's
side.
the one. Here's the one wrench in that cog. You got. They haven't announced it yet, but if you remember, because Jay went over to Raw, somebody else has to go back the other way to SmackDown. Who goes from Raw to SmackDown?
Anybody, doesn't matter.
It could be It could be one of two guys. And the reason why one of two guys, because one could be Cody to further the Roman storyline, if they still run with that. The second one is going to be the Miz to run with the LA Knight storyline.
I think a Cody and Roman's happening, so you're just gonna have
They don't have to have Cody go over yet. If anything, they'll probably do
No,
Miz.
the speculation
But even
is
still,
it's gonna be one of those.
they don't ever stick true to the draft 100% anyways. People just kind of come and go as needed without any mentioning, like, hey, what's that person doing here? They're a SmackDown competitor. This is Raw. What in the world? There's never anything like that.
So far, they have stuck to the draft pretty well. The only time they haven't so far was when LA Knight and The Miz were feuding. That's it. So far, the draft, if you're on one brand, you're on that brand unless you hold one of the two sets of tag team belts. Because those are the only ones that they say can float freely back and forth because the tag team belts are for both shows.
Oh, yeah, because they're still unified. And they haven't made up a new...
Well, I mean the men's and women's.
Yeah. But, and here's what I was saying about the Cody storyline. So you got Jay that defects from the bloodline. He has a twin. They have that bond that nobody else in the world is going to share. So secretly behind the scenes, he, poisons Jimmy's mind and drags him out of the bloodline. But that never even happens until the night at Mania. So then, like Kingpin was saying, you've got Sammy, you've got KO, you've got Riddle, you've got Drew McIntyre. Here's somebody that Kingpin didn't mention, though. Brock Lesnar, the man who voluntarily raised Cody's hand in the middle of the ring.
Oh, not just that, hugged him.
Yes.
Shook his hand and gave him a hug.
Because, and follow me here. So, Jimmy defects. Solo, seeing this, sees both of his brothers leave his cousin. Solo then leaves. The only person still standing. I realize it's speculation. I'm fantasy booking here.
I just want to throw this out there for your fantasy booking. Solo has never been stated to work for Roman Reigns.
Yes, he was sent by the elders.
Yes, he's working for the elders.
And that's my
to watch Roman.
Yes.
So I just wanted to throw that in there with your fantasy booking because somehow that would have to work in there.
Yep. And that's why I was going to say Jimmy had already talked to the elders saying, "Hey, I'm out." And so Solo had seen this coming. And so when Jimmy actually went, Solo went too, because the elders said, "Hey, Jimmy's gone. Bloodline's toast. Stick with your brothers. Roman's fucked up." Then we've got one of two options, because the only person still standing by Roman now is Heyman.
It's just weird.
You have Brock come out.
What you're saying is not weird, I guess.
You have Brock come out, and Heyman's like, "Yep, going with my guy." Or you have, and this is out of left field, Cult of Personality hits out of fucking nowhere
Oh God, no,
Right? Right. But holy shit.
no.
Heyman's gone. Roman's looking around like, what the frick just happened? He gets enraged, goes after Cody. You got a ring surrounded by lumberjacks that all they want to do is tear Roman apart. It's the end of the bloodline. Now, I would much rather Heyman go with Lesnar because there is the CM Punk politics. But at the same time, like, holy shit,
Yeah.
that would be a whopper.
One of the problems with that, though, is we don't know the whole details of Punk's firing yet. He could very well be on a no-compete for a year. Because there's a lot of things that are in these contracts where if you're fired for cause for violation of some clause in your contract, you can't go to a competitor for a year. It's not just wrestling. You got this in like various corporate contracts. So he could be sitting on a 1 year no compete clause at this point. We don't know yet.
But we would know by the time Mania hit. But like I said, I think the more plausible thing would be Heyman going with Lesnar.
Yeah, my point is it's just hard to fantasy book anything around Punk when we don't know the full details yet.
Or, well, that's why you fantasy book, though. I mean, because if you knew the full details, then you wouldn't fantasy book because then you knew the full details.
I'm saying we don't know what his details are as far as his firing, if he can go.
With Punk, yeah. But yeah, like take him back out of the mix. Like that, like I said, that one's a like out of left field thing. 'Cause like that would just be one of those things that would just make people. It would break the internet. People would lose their ever-loving minds.
Yeah,
if
it
that
would
happened.
break Kingpin's mind if CM Punk were to show up somewhere.
Hearing that out of my mouth just now probably broke Kingpin's mind. Like, shut up, barbecue! Don't ever say that again.
Yeah. But here's the weird thing about the whole Jimmy Uso situation. He's the one that got Jay to quit.
Yep.
The bloodline. And now he's begging to get back in. Why?
He's isolated. He needs somebody.
Yep, Krabby's back. He was here earlier, said he had
because he ain't main event Jey Uso.
Well, him and AJ had a good match last night. Jimmy, that is, not Jay, obviously. I think we're going to need to start wrapping this up, fellas, because Hillbilly's going to be going live soon. So, anybody got anything else real quick to talk about before we start wrapping her up?
How about we talk some geopolitical politics?
Right away tomorrow night.
You know, I want to wrap up the show with a quick rant on just some like war and peace stuff.
No.
Just remember, you heard it here, folks. CM Punk, WrestleMania 2024, end of the bloodline. Heyman with CM Punk. You heard it here first. Would that not be some crazy ass shit if it happened that way?
Dude, you know what would be even crazier?
That I'd be able to sue the WWE for friggin' stealing my idea?
No. Punk comes back and Gallows turns on AJ and Carl Anderson and rejoins Punk.
Oh, snap! And have the friggin' straight edge society again? Holy shit.
If CM Punk,
That would actually be friggin' awesome.
if 2024 WrestleMania, CM Punk is the headliner and holds the championship belt up at the end of that show, I will turn my camera on. I will cuss all you guys out and eat a giant spoonful of mayonnaise right then and there, and then I'm gonna break my computer and never come on the internet again.
Somebody clip this right now.
You can't blame me for this. I'm not the one fantasy booking Punk returning to WWE. That's all on barbecue.
Best part is, King was like, hold on. I think barbecue's a couple steps ahead here. No, he's like, no. I don't like anything barbecue is thinking there.
I don't like it, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
The CM Punk part, fat chance. But like the other stuff, I could see happening. I probably not. But
does anybody know when Moxley's contract ends?
Oh, he's never fucking leaving AEW unless it goes under.
No. Remember, this is fantasy booking. Moxley's contract ends after Punk resigns with WWE. Say July or August next year. Just fantasy booking. I have no idea when his contract actually ends. Roman is down on his luck. He needs a friend. Mox resigns with WWE and we get the Shield back.
And Moxley becomes a tranny.
Straight in society. That's unfinished business that was never settled in WWE. Because remember, Punk was feuding with the Shield at one point.
But the thing is, Punk never had a problem with Moxley in AEW. But I like.
He did. Yes, he did.
When
they were feuding over the AEW title last summer.
Oh no! I thought you meant like a legit.
Oh yeah,
heat.
The two of them are going at each other. Storyline heat, but still.
Well, no, yeah, I was talking like backstage.
And they had heat on each other in WWE. And Mox has come out saying he's glad that Punk's gone. Fantasy booking in WWE, the reunion of the Shield versus the reunited Straight Edge Society. It could be interesting. Just as Gallows going to be able to carry against Roman, Mox, and potentially Seth as well. And who would they get to be their third? AJ and the Good Brothers did have a slight falling out this week.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
If they keep down that and the OC breaks up, get both Anderson and Gallows to join them.
Well, wasn't Steven Richards in the Straight Edge Society?
That was Selena Deeb, Saria Deeb, whatever the hell her name is, Gallows, and Punk.
Okay.
Richards was in that censorship.
Right to Censor, yeah.
Right to Censor.
For some reason, I thought he ended up in Straight Edge Society too. I don't know why.
I don't even think he was wrestling in WWE anymore at that point.
Probably not.
But Punk, Gallows, and Anderson versus the Shield. A reunited Shield. Again, completely total fantasy booking. Probably never going to happen. But it could definitely be interesting. You got one multi-time world champion and multi-time tag team champions on one side, and on the other side, you would have 3 WWE Grand Slam champions.
Oh, I know what can happen. CM Punk goes down to NXT. Backstage, he attacks Shawn Michaels and gives him the GTS and kidnaps him.
And what, Hunter comes out of retirement
and
to take
forces him into the Straight Edge Society.
Yeah, but to what end?
It'd be perfect for him with all the God stuff and everything. He doesn't like to even do the crotch chop anymore.
I know that. I'm saying to what end?
Just so he can watch Shawn Michaels wrestle again.
Shawn Michaels has already said he's never going to wrestle again.
I know, that's why. Like, if we're fantasy booking, like, fuck it. Like, let's go whole hog here.
Yeah, I'm thinking like at SummerSlam we could get the Straight Edge Society versus the Shield.
Hold on, who's the... Like, we should probably get a female or something that resembles a female in the Straight Edge Society for Jason because he likes trannies.
Okay, so what? Nyla Rose jumps from AEW to WWE.
Who is that one in the UFC?
Hey man, I like my trannies push button. I don't do no stick shifting.
Draw out the feud all the way to Survivor Series. Who would be the other two on each team?
On each team?
Are you still talking about trainings?
No. The Straight Edge Society versus Shield, if they were to stretch that all the way out to Survivor Series and do a standard, either a standard Survivor Series or War Games match, who would be the other two guys on each team? Because either it would be one or two other guys they would have to have because it's either 4 or 5 in either one of those matches.
Probably end up with Becky as a member of the Shield.
Well, they really haven't done anything with Seth and her as a couple on television, except for the lead into WrestleMania when they were doing the movie thing.
And just the acknowledgement with
Batman and Seth the Joker.
I was saying just the acknowledgement with the Nakamura stuff, but
yeah, but that was it. I mean, as far as the two of them being on screen doing any mixed tags or anything, they've never done any of that.
But still, with something like that, you'd almost imagine like, oh, okay, she's part of the Shield now. Oh hell, I mean, and then if you're talking, Roman's in the Shield, why not Solo? That'd be kind of scary.
Well, Solo doesn't work for Roman.
But Roman was already the enforcer of the Shield, but then you have the enforcer of your enforcer. Like, that'd be like having the fucking bodyguard for Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but remember, Solo doesn't work for Roman. Solo's working if we're fantasy booking this right, Solo's not working for Roman. He's working for the elders. Would the elders assign Solo to work for the fallen tribal chief?
Oh no, Solo's now like that elf in Harry Potter. They gave Solo a sock, so Solo is now a free Samoan.
Who gave him the sock, Roman?
No, the elders.
No, the person that takes over the elf is the one that has to give him the sock. That's why the elf wanted to work for Harry, because Harry gave him a gift.
But the elders gave him the sock, so he's a free elf.
Yeah, he thought he got his freedom when it.
The elf didn't want to work for Harry. Harry slipped the sock in the Malfoy dude's book, and then
Yeah.
gave it to
the master gave him. Yeah, okay, you're right. I got you. Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen that shit. And I've only seen that.
I haven't seen
once.
it since I was a friggin' kid. That was pure friggin' memory. Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, because Harry Potter slipped it in the book, and then the pissy ass Malfoy dad dude gets the book from Harry Potter because he's like, "Here, you drop your book," and he's like, "Give me my fucking book," and he's like, like slams it into the elf. He's like, "Take this fucking book," and then Harry Potter's like, "Open it," and he opens it. And he's like, "Oh,
Master,
you gave Dobby a sock, Dobby free elf." Sorry, all I could think is if they fucking did that, and fucking Solo opens this fucking book, he's like, oh, "You gave Solo sock, Solo free Samoan." Holy fuck!
Oh damn!
Hey man, I got a tie in the mail. I didn't get no free sock.
You got a tie in the mail? Was it a trainee or a straight?
Oh, dude, this is a beautiful tie, man. I got a very fucking nice Ohio State tie.
Oh, so it's a trainee.
Oh, it's a trainee.
Probably says Wolverines.
So you can dress like a winner, is what it is. Very nice, very soft and slick. Yeah.
Anyway, we do need to cut this off. So,
I feel like us giving Solo a fucking sock is probably a great way to fucking end it. Like that takes the cake for the fucking fantasy booking, I think. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, we just worked the actual fantasy into this. As in,
I thought you were going to stop talking about trannies.
You're the one that started talking about trannies again when you brought up Ohio State.
I didn't bring up trannies. I was talking about some pretty hot, young, thin, small Thai chicks, and you guys went straight to, "Hey man, better watch out. Make sure they ain't got nothing extra on."
You got to run those gender checks on Brazilian chicks and Thai chicks, man. I'm telling you. For your own safety, chicks.
I didn't say that about Brazil chicks, man. I said Thai chicks.
No, but the same thing applies to them as it applies to the Thais. That's all my point was. You gotta do those safety checks, man. You can't go by what's upstairs. You got to check the basement too before you ever get in any kind of relationship. It's just
fuck it, then, man. Bring on some fat ass Mexican bitches, man. That way I know I'm safe.
I don't know, man. You might end up with a donkey in your bedroom.
I said the Mexicans, man. Tomorrow you have 4 donkeys. Next day, 6 donkeys.
Anyway, on that note, we definitely have to cut this. Next, we're talking about Tijuana, and we don't want to go there. King, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Thanks for hanging out, Krabby. Barbecue, Jason, everything. That was cool.
All right, Jason, try and keep this civil. Anything you want to say before we leave?
Yeah, R.I.P. Adnan Al-Kaissie. Yeah, thanks for the work you did, and thoughts for his family.
All right, Barbecue, your turn.
If you have a Samoan, you should set him free. Give him a sock. Not the old crusty one you have either, you sick son of a gun.
Now, hold up.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a second. If you got a Samoan that you want to set free, you should give him a 20% discount at Blackout Coffee with Rich White.
Yeah, Rich W20 gets you 20% off your first order. Now, with a Samoan, since Roman looks like he's wearing a necklace made of hot peppers, Would a red chili pepper work as well as a sock for freeing a Samoan?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope. They use a sock in Harry Potter. It's got to be a sock, I think.
We're not talking Harry Potter. We're talking WWE.
Set
Yeah,
the whole
but
island on fire.
I feel
bet they'll
like
feel free.
Harry Potter spake, wrestling spake, it's all the same.
We haven't had a wizard in wrestling since Oz. You know, we've had vampires, we've had undead undertakers, we've had a guy that summons fire from wherever the hell he's summoned because he's the devil's favorite demon. We've had Vince McMahon win a wrestling match against God, apparently. How sacrilegious is that, by the way?
The Miz just had a wrestling match with an invisible John Cena.
Yes, he did. But there has never been another actual wizard since Kevin Nash was Oz.
You should probably turn this thing off, man.
Yeah, we'll be going down another rabbit hole. So, yeah, we'll catch y'all.
But Kevin Nash was friends with Magic Mike.
Let's not go there.
Magic Johnson had AIDS.
But apparently it's
Got
cured
it
by
from
money.
Lola.
Anyway, here. Watch
You guys
the.
are probably really scared right now, and I understand that completely. But I get the better of the deal, and even though it's 3 versus 2, you guys are outnumbered because we're better than you guys. Yeah, we are. We're legends in our own mind compared to you guys. Even though you guys got the egos, we have got the wrestling skill.